This afternoon in Miami, Pool 2 of the World Baseball Classic got underway with the timely power and clutch pitching of Team Venezuela turning the Cinderella Dutch back into a pumpkin. Now it's time for the main event. After a disappointing sixth-place finish in the 2006 WBC, Team USA is on a mission of redemption. And in the opening round in Toronto, their explosive play proved the point. Meanwhile, in San Juan, the powerful Puerto Ricans rode the wave of their home crowd to 3 wins and the top seed. Tonight, they clash in Miami. The island meets the mainland. Next. On a magnificent night for baseball in Miami, welcome back to the World Baseball Classic presented by IBM. Tonight at Dolphin Stadium, after a big win at home, Puerto Rico takes on Team USA. And welcome back to the second game of our WBC doubleheader. Matt Vasgersian alongside Reynolds and Leiter. Unlike in the first game when an experienced Venezuela team took care of a very young Dutch group, this one tonight offers plenty of major league experience on both sides. And Al, we start with Team Puerto Rico. No shortage of talent, no shortage of major league experience.
You said it, Matt. This is going to be exciting tonight. You have a lot of major leaguers. You said not only MVP, All-Stars, future Hall of Famers in this offense with Carlos Beltran and Alex Rios, Carlos Delgado right down the line. But really in the first pool, Pudge Rodriguez is a guy. He's not out. He's out of contract right now. Pudge Rodriguez had a very good series. As a matter of fact, in Pool D, he ended up being MVP. Had a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of series, had 5 strikeouts. He ended up showing some big power with 2 home runs against Panama. Here was the first of 2 home runs. Typical Pudge Rodriguez patented swing here going the other way. He's in shape. He looks good. He's certainly hoping that he gets an opportunity to get a major league job.
And Team Puerto Rico has its staff ace on the mound, Javier Vasquez.
Javier Vasquez is really no stranger to WBC play. He's done very well in the first game. He pitched 4 1/3 innings, was able to pitch fine ball. This is a guy that knows these USA hitters. The USA hitters know him, and that could be an advantage to USA hitters. He's got to get ahead. He's got very good breaking ball. It's really about a command issue with Javi Vasquez.
Well, let's talk about those USA hitters. And Harold, we talk about Team USA's lineup there without an MVP as Dustin Pedroia was sent back. How does that affect the lineup? What do they do in his absence?
I think it's a huge impact player. Anytime you lose an MVP type of guy and his personality, they're going to miss it a lot. But I don't think he's going to be coming back. He had an oblique injury. They sent him back to Fort Myers to the Red Sox camp to be checked out by their team doctors. Listen, you gave him a $45 million contract this year to extend him out. He ain't coming back. I'm sorry, Red Sox Nation's not going to let him go. So what are the options, you wonder? Well, Mark DeRosa is going to play second base tonight. He's on this club because of his versatility. But going forward, they're talking about adding Brian Roberts to the roster. He was one of the original guys that they wanted on the team. So legally, they can add him to the roster. We'll see how that works out and if the Orioles actually let Mr. Roberts leave camp. But for now, no Dustin Pedroia. It's a huge impact. It's a big loss.
Shane Victorino will lead off in Pedroia's absence. Let's talk about Team USA starting pitcher Jake Peavy is no stranger to the World Baseball Classic. He threw in this event in 2006 and threw the ball well, though he had to work very hard in Canada on Saturday.
Well, I think the main thing for Jake Peavy, again, this is his second outing of the spring. He's got a chance to go 85 pitches today. Maximum effort type of guy. He's going to be grunting. He's going to be screaming. He reminds me a lot of this guy over here, but he's not left-handed. So I'll just defer to Al because what's he to do? You know he's going to give 100%.
Well, you said it, and he's a guy who gets a lot of 3-2s. He's got unbelievable stuff. It's really like a movement issue. You saw plenty of him in San Diego. Great fastball, good breaking ball. It's really about getting ahead. And both of these guys have the same keys. They got to get ahead and expand because they got unbelievable stuff.
Great pitching matchup. Great bit of offense on display here tonight in our WBC nightcap. Jake Peavy and the Americans against Javier Vasquez and Team Puerto Rico. We're back with the starting lineups and opening pitch and a rather excited fan base on a beautiful night in Miami. Baseball is coming up next.
World Baseball Classic games on MLB Network are presented by IBM. Let's build a smarter planet. Visit IBM.com.
And welcome back to Dolphin Stadium in Miami for the second half of our World Baseball Classic doubleheader. Back with Harold Reynolds and now Leiter, Matt Vasgersian. Team USA against a very talented, deep Puerto Rican squad. Get you right to the U.S. lineup as penned by interim manager Barry Larkin. Shane Victorino, the switch-hitting Philly world champion, will lead things off in center fielder. Derek Jeter batting in the 2 spot. Jones, Youkilis in right 3 through 5. Adam Dunn has homered twice in this World Baseball Classic already. He's in right field batting 7th. Brian Braun, Brian McCann, and Mark DeRosa round out a very capable U.S. lineup here tonight. And before we talk about Javier Vasquez on the mound for Team Puerto Rico, let's size them up defensively. It starts up the middle with Aviles and Lopez. Carlos Beltran, a 3-time Gold Glover in center field. And the Puerto Rican team, as we'll talk about, is very, very deep at catcher. Giovanni Soto gets the nod behind the dish tonight. It is Javier Vasquez on the mound. Saturday against Panama went 4 1/3, as Al mentioned, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. And it looks as though Vasquez, unless somebody else is going to pop out of the dugout really quick, is going to be throwing to Pudge Rodriguez. So we've already had a change from what we thought was the starting defensive schematic for Team Puerto Rico. Jose Oquendo calling an audible on us, and the game hasn't even started yet, guys.
Well, we've been getting a lot of that all day long. The U.S. called an audible with Dustin Pedroia, and now Shane Victorino will lead off. So this is what it's about, man. Make you figure it out on the fly.
The guy that Jack Buck used to call the secret weapon in St. Louis, managing his Puerto Rico squad, and we are ready for baseball tonight. Hawaii-born Shane Victorino set to start us tonight, and Vasquez first offerings in for a strike. Well, Barry Larkin, of course, managing tonight in Davey Johnson's absence. He has an excused absence as he is attending a wedding tonight, something that the team knew was coming months ago. And Barry Larkin drew the long or short straw, depending on your point of view. And it's his ship to direct tonight.
Well, he was excited about it. He's trying to figure out all the different lineups. He's at the ballpark early. You see Mike Smith over at third base, legendary Hall of Fame third baseman, coaching the third base box. And Billy Ripken's over at first base box.
I'll tell you, Billy Ripken, we had a good laugh when Billy Ripken, our colleague here at MLB Network, was talking about when Barry Larkin was taking the helm today, how he changed his a bit of his behavior as coach or manager. It was all good fun. That was good stuff.
0-2 is a count from Vasquez to Victorino. And the new Atlanta Braves 0-2 pitches a breaking ball that's bounced at first. Carlos Delgado is there. He wins the race to the bag, and not by much.
Tell you what, Victorino getting down the line. He's forcing Delgado. Delgado should know better. He plays against him in the same division all the time. Nice backhand by Carlos. He kind of nonchalanted, and then all of a sudden, whoa, I better turn it on.
Carlos takes occasional grief, Al, for his defense.
Hey, speed kills, and Shane Victorino, the speed nearly beats that out. That was a good play. Carlos realizing he had to speed it up a little bit.
Wow, we're getting 7 or 8 looks at a ground ball to first base tonight. Stay hot. 1 gone. And here's Derek Jeter now. Just misses the corner, does Javier Vasquez. Jeter in this World Baseball Classic competition 4 for 9. Of course, he had a huge World Baseball Classic tour back in 2006. The inaugural year for this event, named to the all-event team. On the ground to second base for Lopez. And 2 ground ball outs for Javi Vasquez tonight.
Well, the key for Vasquez tonight was going to be throw strike 1 or try to get ahead of guys. Right there, Jeter getting a 1-0 count. But Vasquez has been tough, and he's going to need to be tonight, Al.
Yeah, you know, look, every major league pitcher, that's the whole theory and rule of thumb. We're going to watch it with Jake Peavy. Same thing. When you got plus arm, as Javier Vasquez has, you get ahead and be able to expand. There's some of the history here with these team of the USA.
Chipper Jones, first ball picking, and he fouls one off. Well, Chipper Jones has seen more of Javier Vasquez, Al, than any U.S. hitter in the lineup tonight. 57 career plate appearances against the right-hander. They'll be sharing a uniform this year, both playing in Atlanta.
Yeah, I was going to say that could be good or that could be bad for Chipper. If he's 30 for 57, he's saying, why did we sign him? I need those hits.
It's a great changeup right here from Javi Vasquez. No, I still think it's an advantage to the hitter. He's batting 281 lifetime. Actually, the best one in the lineup is Dustin Pedroia at 700, 7 for 10.
Well, Chipper had the oblique muscle injury on the right side. He did it left-handed, swinging on a pitch very similar to the changeup he had, swinging and missing. Took a couple days and took some BP and felt good. He was trying to get locked in. He has not had a good time hitting here. He struck out 7 times already, and he'll be the first one to tell you he hasn't got the rhythm yet.
Well, you know what? That's a good point you make. In the pool up in Toronto, they had 2 days off when they won the 2 games in the winners bracket. It was 2 days off, and just talking to the guys, it really is about a rhythm and tempo. Now 2 days off again coming into this game.
Ball and 2 strikes to Chipper Jones. 2 gone to start the top of the first.
Oh, look out! Wow. That's sliced into the. This is the ball that somebody gets hit on in the stands every time. That ball was sliced, and just a little emergency swing with 2 strikes on you.
Ball and 2 strikes to Chipper Jones. Breaking ball that's sent into right center field. This is going to hang for Beltran, and it's a 1-2-3 start to the day or night for Javier Vasquez. Welcome back after a 1-2-3 top of the first, spun by Javier Vasquez. Time for Team Puerto Rico to take some swings against 2007 National League Cy Young Award winner Jake Peavy. Jesus Feliciano leads things off for Team Puerto Rico. Feliciano, Vasquez, and Beltran as the bottom of the first is underway. Peavy worked on Saturday against the Canadians in Toronto and allowed 2 earned runs in 3 innings of work. He did not get the decision in a 6-5 U.S. win. And Feliciano's aboard to start things for Puerto Rico.
You know, Feliciano has really, in Jose Oquendo's mind, used this World Baseball Classic as a stepping stone. He cannot believe this young man is not in the big leagues yet. He plays all the positions well. You can put him anywhere on the diamond, and he does a nice job. He's really surprised that he's not in the big leagues, and maybe this part of the old tournament might open some people's eyes.
Here's the designated hitter now, Ramon Vasquez, hitless in the World Baseball Classic so far, 0 for 10 with the leadoff hitter aboard. Runner goes, and the first pitch is grounded to second. They get the lead runner, but can't turn the double play as Derek Jeter had his feet taken out from under him. Score the out at the bag, 4-6, and there's 1 away.
Well, that's a great play by DeRosa to get the quick flip to him, to give him a chance to get out of the way, but it was a slide by Feliciano. Knowing the shortstop was going to try to clear, went straight where Jeter was going to come up, away from the base, and broke that up. Nice job of sliding. Nice play all the way around. Not much to do with that grounder after that.
Here now is Carlos Beltran with 1 out and 1 on. Beltran has been Puerto Rico's most successful hitter against Jake Peavy during the regular Major League Baseball season as we size up the U.S. defensively. A lot of Gold Glove hardware on the left side of that infield with 3-time Gold Glover Derek Jeter and the 2-time Gold Glove third baseman David Wright. Fastball's poured in at the belt for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Beltran.
Well, you saw already hit and run the first batter. They're going to push the envelope. That's what Jose Oquendo wants to do. Be aggressive. You watch Beltran swing at the first pitch, and they're going to try to run as often as they can and be aggressive at the plate.
Well, that's exactly what Oquendo said to us beforehand. And I said about stealing base. He said, no, more about moving the middle infield, more hit and run, especially with the 2 guys up front with Vasquez and Feliciano. That's exactly what he did.
And Matt, to your point, Beltran with his success, he's going to jump on those fastballs. That's why he's had great success. Peavy will challenge him with the fastball, and it doesn't surprise me at all that he's had good numbers because he's a great fastball hitter.
Beltran career 5 for 16 against Jake Peavy. Carlos Delgado waiting on deck. This is the Met connection part of the lineup for Team Puerto Rico. Vasquez not a stolen base threat off first base, but Jaco looking back over to the bag. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Beltran.
I just think it's interesting looking at David Wright, his alignment. He's moved all the way, Jeter all the way over to the middle, and has moved into the shortstop 6-hole over there to take it away. I think he's a little familiar with Beltran.
On the ground and past DeRosa. Here's Victorino throwing to third. Not in time to get Vasquez.
Push the envelope. Take the extra base. This is great baseball. Love it.
Puerto Rico has Peavy in trouble early. Runners at the corners with 1 gone here in the first.
Nice job of staying with the fastball again away from him. This Trickles is a very fast infield. That ball's going to get through a lot. Victorino came up with a strong throw, but Vasquez, the ball's in front of you. You make the decision. He went for the gamble. Tremendous all the way around. This is nice baseball we're watching play right now.
So now Carlos Delgado off to a blistering start in this World Baseball Classic. He's had only 6 official at-bats, but he's got 5 hits, including a home run.
Well, after what he went through the first half of the year in New York, struggling, trying to find out his stroke, people had him written out of baseball. You can't do it. He figured out a little timing mechanism, and I really think when you go through adversity like that, you figure it out, you become a better player. Not that he wasn't already, but I think the rest of his twilight years here, he's going to know how to get in and out of mistakes and make adjustments a lot quicker.
You know, for you say timing mechanism, here's a guy, borderline Hall of Famer, home run, power, 300 plus hitter at various years. For him to have that rut, it just shows you how much it becomes a mental thing as he's going through his season. And you're right, first half last year he struggled, and boy did he finish strong.
The 2-2 to Delgado is into the hole on the right side. This is going to bring in a run and wrap Beltran around to third. 1-0 Puerto Rico.
Well, Beltran's the one guy who has the green light, and that's why you don't run with the left-hander at the plate who can pull the ball. You give him that hole. This ball's not hit very hard, but it finds the hole because the first baseman's holding. It trickles through, and the next thing you know, it's first and third all over again. You think they're not excited?
Here's Alex Rios, the 2-time Toronto Blue Jay All-Star, 1 for 9 so far in this World Baseball Classic. He's got Beltran at third, Delgado at first. 1 out, 1 man in. And a fastball is taken for a strike.
So, Al, I got a question for you. If you're Marcel Latzman over there, the pitching coach for the U.S., and you know Peavy has to get his pitching, his numbers in there, what are you thinking? Do you come out and talk right now? You slow the game down? What are you trying to do?
Well, you're hoping that you get some outs, but really it's a command issue. We talked about it at the Open, and same thing for Vasquez. Peavy's a high-energy guy, and if you notice, that was a backdoor cutter to Delgado, and he missed with his location, and that's where it comes down to. And great major league hitters like Carlos Delgado will capitalize. You got to allow Peavy to continue to work and get his pitches in.
Out to left field. Braun is there for it. Beltran tags up at third. No play at the plate. 2-0 Puerto Rico.
Well, they couldn't have scripted this inning much better. They said they wanted to push the envelope. The first time they ran was a hit and run, and they got a nice play from DeRosa to get a force at second. Other than that, first and third scores a run. First and third sets up a run, and right there you get the sac fly out of it. The top of the order has done what they're supposed to do. They've manufactured a run, and they're doing the job. So
now Pudge Rodriguez who, as we saw when we signed on this telecast, has experienced the good and the bad of the World Baseball Classic so far. He has enjoyed a 2-home run game. He also had his moments of struggle during Puerto Rico's Pool D victory to start the WBC.
But this is an at-bat for Pudge. If you want to show what you still have going on, they're going to measure you, how you do against a Jake Peavy. How's your approach? Because it's nice to play Panama and it's nice to play the Netherlands, but this is when it really counts, when you're facing bona fide big league pitchers.
The 14-time All-Star, unemployed for the 2009 Major League Baseball season. That's found a way to make it 1-2. It was a down year by Pudge's or many other catchers' standards in 2008. Splitting time between Detroit and New York. Rodriguez hit .276, just 7 home runs, 35 runs batted in. And at 37 years old, you wonder how many potential suitors are left for a future Hall of Famer. He's jammed and he hits that one to short for Jeter. They go the short way to force out Delgado. And that'll do it. 2 in the first for Puerto Rico. However, they take an early 2-0 lead.
Today's World Baseball Classic game is brought to you by Sprint. Get more done with Nextel Direct Connect, only on the Now Network. And MLB 09, the show, only on PlayStation.
Welcome back. Well, the U.S. so far in the 2009 World Baseball Classic has trailed in now all 4 of its games. It came back from deficits to defeat Canada and Venezuela. As we pop around and show you the umpiring crew here. Mark Wegner was behind the plate. Luis Ramirez at first base, a former Mexican League umpire coordinator. Masato Tomoyoshi, you saw him, who's been an umpire in Japan since the 1970s, and Bruce Breckman is at second. And here's Kevin Youkilis leading things off in the U.S. second. Two of Youkilis's 3 WBC hits have been home runs, as he falls behind 0-2 here against Javier Vasquez.
I was talking to him around the today about that violin approach he has. If you watch his top hand, how he does that, he said he never even knew he did it until somebody showed him. Actually, Dave Magnan, hitting coach with the Red Sox, showed him what he did. He said, just keep doing it. But you don't buy it, do you?
No. Come on. We were talking about it. You said, when was the first time you saw yourself on video? I mean, you don't need to be on video to know how you're on the bat.
Well, it's made him very popular with MLB Network favorite batting stance guy,
Gar Rines. He actually had a big article in the New York Times about batting stance guy.
Maybe he doesn't know as exaggerated as it is, because that's really unusual.
Well, I tell you what, the first time I really saw myself on videotape when I was in the big leagues, I was off to a nice start, and I saw myself on TV, and I was like, that's not what I feel like I look like. And I started changing my stance because I'm like, that's what I look like on TV? And the next thing you know, I was scuffing, trying to figure it out. But here he is. But he gets himself, sets it down, gets ready to go. I don't know how he does it, but the man can hit. He can hit, I'll tell you that. Oh.
Lays off, and it's to 2-2 now.
This is a great at-bat. He's seen a lot of breaking pitches. He's seen the fastball. This is something that if you were in a spring training game, you're saying, look, I'm really building now. I'm starting to see stuff.
Especially against Vasquez in the Major League season, he's 1 for 14. Youkilis has 0.71 batting average. So you're right, Harold. Here's a guy he struggled against Vasquez, albeit only 14 at bats, but still enough body of work.
The 2-2. A bouncer to second for Felipe Lopez. You know, as scary as the Puerto Rico lineup is, it's been their pitching staff that has turned the most heads here. In 27 innings here in the World Baseball Classic, they have given up 1 earned run. They've struck out 28 and walked only 8 batters. And it's really been, at the end of the day, what has differentiated Puerto Rico from the rest of the field.
You know, I really find it interesting how when these guys go back to their native land and their native tongue, how you're able to execute. It might sound a little crazy, but when you have guys that can speak to you in your language and be able to say certain words and phrases, it makes sense. It sinks in. I see it all the time.
What's your point? In reference to what?
I think sometimes when you come to the U.S. and you bring these guys over from Latin American countries, and all of a sudden you throw them into the minor leagues or even on a lot of big league staffs, you don't have a lot of Latin coaches. And so nobody can identify with them in the language. Hey, throw a fastball for a strike. But you know what? It's a little different when there's little languages and little things that get through. Personality and relationships are lost. And I know it sounds a little crazy because I'm saying, oh, you're sitting at home going, a strike is a strike. But sometimes that relationship, a way to talk to a certain guy, it sinks in.
Well, you could even say that an English-speaking coach, you know, some coaches just their phrase is better than another coach. It's not that they said it any more profound.
Hey, Davey Johnson back from his wedding. Barry Larkin, hang with him.
Look at Barry.
You got an inning plus as manager tonight, Lark.
Barry's going, timeout, man. What you doing here?
He was ready to make pitching changes. He wanted to play with the lineup card, and the skipper's back as a breaking ball just misses to David Wright. And Lark and Davey are filling each other in, as it were, on what's been happening the last inning plus. Here's the 2-2 home, and Wright shoots a one-hopper back to Lopez. He's been busy, and 2 gone.
I don't think I've seen Vasquez get this many ground balls in a game this early before. You know, maybe when he gets a little tired, he'll get a little sink, get some ground balls, but he's getting quite a few today.
Well, 5 up and 5 down, and only 1 ball hit in the air so far tonight from Team USA. Now Adam Dunn, speaking of fly ball hitters, 3 of 6, 2 home runs in Pool C competition in Toronto.
Dunn has been awful hot. Speaking with Adam earlier, he's never been in the playoffs, and this has been good for him, I think, to challenge him, to lock in a little bit. He's been swinging the bat quite well, sitting on certain pitches, talking with guys, and it just seems like he's just into it.
And having a ball too, Harold. He's really taking this up. He was a provisional roster player and was added late.
Little chip shot.
Ooh,
and Vasquez gets to it.
By him, that's a hit.
6 down against Javier Vasquez for Team USA. 2-0 Puerto Rico. Welcome back to Dolphin Stadium in Miami. Matt Vasgersian alongside Harold Reynolds and Al Leiter. It's 2-0 for Team Puerto Rico as they take their second set of swings against right-hander Jake Peavy. Bottom of the order, Giovanni Soto, Felipe Lopez, and Mike Aviles.
Well, Puerto Rico's got 3 catchers they rotate. Giovanni Soto, Benji Molina, and Pudge Rodriguez. Or not Benji, but Yadier. Excuse me. Benji's one of the other Molinas.
Some 3 good catchers.
It's quite a family.
2008 Rookie of the Year, National League, Giovanni Soto.
One of only a handful of Chicago Cubs to have won that honor. And for a team that's been around as long as the Cubs have, if I had told you before Soto won it in 2008 that there had only been 4, you might call me a liar.
Gerald Williams, Dwight Smith.
Gerald Williams. The Cubs?
Well, am I right? What the heck's his name? Jerome Williams?
Jerome Walton.
I knew it was J.W. I couldn't remember.
He of the 3 home runs on opening day, Jerome Walton. Come on back. That's a strike.
Walton had 3 home runs in 1 game?
Did he?
Opening day? No, that was the left-handed hitter Rhodes, right?
Nice little
Carl
high.
Tuffy Rhodes. Nice. Let's get back to the
call
game
there.
with Al. And there's a drive that's foul. Billy Williams, Ken Hubbs, Jerome Walton, and Kerry Wood. That's enough for our Cubs Rookie of the Year discussion tonight. full count as it counts to Giovanni Soto. 3-2.
Stats, please.
And Peavy's pitch misses high. You know, I want to talk about this with you a little bit, Al. The fact that Jake Peavy is a hard worker, maximum effort guy. He's also a guy that sometimes takes a little longer to get through a first inning than some starters do. So when you have an event like this with a pitch count of 85, it's got to be a little more pressure for him.
Well, here he's got 3 outs, 26 pitches, leadoff walk here in the second. So yeah, when the pitch count is what it is, and you got to be very careful because you can't go over it. I always thought if you had a starting pitcher who struggles with what you just said, and I know you did a lot of Padre games, so you're there to attest that. You know, it's how you warm up. Some guys, you know, on the road, they're different how they warm up. They'll sit down. Some guys will pitch an inning to get right, knowing that they're going to have that extra time because your team is hitting first. You really have to tinker with the amount of time that it takes for you to warm up and how much rest.
Ball and a strike to count to Felipe Lopez.
Well, the other thing with Jake Peavy and a few other members of the team, they've had this upper respiratory little cold going around on the ball club. I know DeRosa, yourself, Oswald, a lot of guys have been held down with this. You know, that's going to come into play also. And what's that got to do with throwing strikes? Well, you know, I don't know.
Well, if you're not feeling 100%, you feel sluggish. But that's been a few days ago, and they've had some off days. Nicer weather here in South Florida.
Ball and 2 strikes is a count. Oh my. Big fly out to right field. Dunn can only watch, and it's gone. Felipe Lopez with a 2-run shot. 4-0 Puerto Rico. No doubt about it.
Well, when Felipe Lopez was healthy and playing in Cincinnati at shortstop, he was putting up some serious numbers. Now he's going to be in Arizona playing second base. It's the guy they brought in. I know they're pretty excited about that. We'll see. Marcel Latchman's going to come out and have a little visit. But this is a fastball. He knew there was no doubt about it. The bat flip and everything.
Well, we're talking about a command issue, and you know, you get behind enough of major league hitters. And Felipe Lopez, you mentioned, Harold, when he was healthy with Cincinnati last year, he had 5 home runs between Washington and St. Louis. 6 home runs. You can't snooze through a lineup. When you look at a lineup here with the Puerto Rican team, Beltran, Delgado, Rios, Pudge, you know, there's no letdown.
Here's the number 9 hitter, shortstop Mike Aviles.
Aviles had a nice year with Kansas City. He really helped start to turn that organization around, and this is a guy they're looking to. Playing every day at shortstop there, and they were struggling for a while. You know, Angel Aurora went down into a little bit of a skid, and this guy came out of nowhere and really stabilized that shortstop position for the Royals.
I'll tell you what, he got called up, you guys. I've seen him a few times last year. This guy is legit, and had he played the whole year, I'm not saying he would have been the AL Rookie of the Year, but he would have certainly pressed for Kevin Longoria or whoever else. This guy's talented.
7th round draft selection in 2003, and did in fact make an impact as a rookie last year. Hit .325. This is popped into foul territory for Youkilis, and that's the first out of the inning. Each one of the Team USA starters had his share of trouble in the first round. Jake Peavy, 3 innings in his first round start against Canada. Roy Oswalt, Ted Lilly, only 1 earned run allowed by Lilly, but again, it's a slow curve. Nobody's being extended out there, and in fact the pool round of competition limited starters to just 70 pitches, so don't be fooled by the 3 innings of work.
And speaking of Marcel Latchman, what they're trying to do to make sure these guys get work, with them having the days off we spoke about, you don't want days off this time of year. You want to get your work in the workload. They've been trying to throw bullpens. It's not like facing hitters. You're not going to have simulated games because you're not going to throw simulated games with these guys. So they're rotating in shifts of 5. He's got the 5 pitchers he wants to throw tonight and the 5 pitchers that'll throw the next game they come out.
3 balls and a strike to count to Jesus Feliciano, who singled in his first try against Peavy. And the 3-1 home. There's ball 4. The second walk of the inning.
Well, if you're wondering at home, the 5 guys they'd like to throw: Joel Hanrahan, J.J. Putz, Lincecum, Thornton, and Bell. That's what he was hoping to do today, to get to those guys. Lindstrom. I said Lincecum. I got him on my mind.
Too,
yeah, he's pretty good in San Francisco.
Let's get him out here.
Well, you know,
Call him up. Need some help.
No, but you know, that's legitimate. They also added Mel Stottlemyre, great pitcher in his own right, longtime pitching coach, because of that. They have 14 pitchers, and to try to get the guys that don't get their work in.
That's in there.
Ramon Vasquez dumps one in front of Dunn. Feliciano's being held at third. First hit of the World Baseball Classic for Ramon Vasquez. And there are runners at second and third with only 1 gone.
I know you want to go deep, but you got to come get him.
Well, this is right down the middle. This is fastball trying to get ahead. Ramon Vasquez, he gets all over this, pulling that ball, knowing these Puerto Rico team knows what Peavy's been doing. He's been getting behind, leaving the ball up, and anytime that happens, guys like Vasquez and right down this lineup, they're going to look for their fastball, get what they're looking for, and put a good swing on it.
Joel Hanrahan is getting up quickly, and now you're really faced with trying to run the gauntlet here. Peavy's got to face Beltran and Delgado with 1 gone and runners at second and third. Team Puerto Rico is in a position to open up a rather large early cushion here. On the ground is second base. DeRosa makes a good backhanded play. Throw to first, not in time. A run scores, and it's 5-0 Puerto Rico.
Well, I'll tell you what, nice play by DeRosa right there, cutting the ball off, actually saved the run and almost made the play at first base. Beltran got out of the box nice. This is a sweet play. Just got rid of it, gave him the nice hop, and pulled him off a little bit. But again, Beltran not wasting any time. I want to go back up the middle or to the right side and pick up that run. And they're back to that first and third again, Matt.
And Carlos Delgado has the opportunity with runners at the corners. 3 in the inning for Puerto Rico. Delgado takes a fastball for a strike.
That's about the first fastball he's thrown for a strike I've seen a batter take. They are hacking at everything that's over the plate. If it's straight, swinging for the gate. Great
there
jump.
goes Beltran. McCann looks to third and does not throw down. Beltran swipes second. Runners at second and third.
Now, the last time he was on first base, he gave the hole to Delgado. This time he took the base, because now you go second and third again with 1 out, and you're going to force him. Now you give him the ground ball. The right side's going to give him a run. They even brought the second baseman in instead of the traditional shift. There's a run.
On the ground is shortstop. Vasquez scores. Credit Delgado with his second RBI of the night. A 4-run inning, and it's 6-0 Puerto Rico.
The point I was making is if he stays at first base, you still have the double play in order with Delgado. So forget giving him the hole. Take the bag, force them to have to get a force play, or he gets a pitch like this, he hits a ground ball, you pick up a run. That's why you steal the bag in that situation as opposed to giving him the open base.
Here's Alex Rios now. Rios singled in the first. A .291 hitter last year in Toronto, 15 home runs and 79 driven in.
Well, Al, they couldn't have scripted this any better. This is just how Jose Oquendo was talking about it.
You know, Jose Oquendo knows what this lineup is all about, but I don't think he really scripted it this way. To have 6 runs in the first 2 innings off a very good pitcher in Jake Peavy, as he tried to push some early runs. This is Team USA's got to figure out a way to stop the bleeding here and throw up some zeros and see how their offense can take control.
You know, I would also offer this, that without discrediting Puerto Rico, because they have in fact scored 6 runs on 6 hits, I don't think they have seen the quote real Jake Peavy so far tonight.
Well, no, and it's a fine line because he's trying to get his work in. He's trying to find it. So you have to leave him in the game to let him get his work. And as you see, he's not throwing breaking balls for strikes, so he has to rely on that fastball, and they're tattooing it. And you're right, Matt. This is not what you would see from Peavy. What would you normally see? You saw him throw a lot.
Electric. Yeah, he has to work hard in innings, but he doesn't have that electric stuff tonight that he certainly had in 2007 when he won his Cy Young Award. You know, one thing about Peavy that I find interesting, when he won the Cy Young Award in 2007, he did not have a single start that went beyond 7 innings. And I don't know that there's been a starting pitcher to win a Cy Young Award that's ever had that kind of game-by-game log before. And it's because he works hard. It's not that they were cutting him off after 87, 88 pitches every night, but he was reaching his number early in games.
You know, and I could relate to that, having, you know, if you fight yourself and you have good stuff, and Jake Peavy does have that. The ball is moving. He's just missing with his location right now. You can see even with his fastball, it's cutting and sinking.
I'm seeing something totally different because I don't care if he's missed with location or not. There's no zip on the fastball. And when you don't have anything, I don't care where you locate it, they're going to hit you eventually, and that's been his problem tonight.
An 8 at-bat inning nets 4 runs for Puerto Rico. We played 2, and it's already 6-0 team PR.
Hey, next time when he comes back.
World Baseball Classic games on MLB Network are presented by IBM. Let's build a smarter planet. Visit IBM.com.
Well, Team USA has dug a little bit of a hole for itself early. 6-0 Puerto Rico as we start the third, and Ryan Braun will open the visitors' third inning. Braun, McCann, and DeRosa against Javier Vasquez. Ryan Braun, though familiar certainly with South Florida, having played his college ball at the University of Miami, is unfamiliar with Javier Vasquez. Is the only member of the starting lineup tonight for Team USA not to have faced Vasquez previously.
Maybe he'll be the first guy to get a hit then.
Vasquez has retired all 6 he's faced.
That's the way it happens sometimes. Hey, Ryan Braun, how about getting to come back to South Florida? He has not been really in Miami when these guys are playing baseball because he's been in spring training in Arizona. He threw out the first pitch last night at their game. A chance to go back to the college game, throw out the first pitch. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, after 2 years in Milwaukee, rewarded with a rich contract extension that'll keep him in America's Dairyland for some years to come. And I think we'd all agree, a guy you could build your roster around as Jake Peavy assesses the damage tonight.
There's no ice on that arm. He's coming back for some more.
And Braun shoots it to first. Delgado has it, 1 gone. After the game tonight, get a complete roundup of all the World Baseball Classic action with highlights, analysis, and a look ahead to the next round of the tournament. That's World Baseball Classic tonight, presented by Sprint, coming up right after the game, only on MLB Network. Here's the left-handed hitting catcher, Brian McCann. And he takes strike 1.
It's got to be kind of weird knowing you're going to be teammates, facing each other. Now, what was that like when you faced teammates? Like in a contest like this?
I didn't like it. Well, I didn't like it any time. I always thought if a guy, you know, knew who I was. I always think that the pitcher should never let a hitter know who you are, what your personality is. I think there is some opportunity to intimidate if you can.
There you are. The first hit for Team USA comes from the guy who's going to catch Javier Vasquez during the regular season at Turner Field.
Not intimidate in the sense that you're going to knock everybody down, but I just think if you felt real comfortable with a guy that you were teammates with, you're a little bit more at ease when you're in the box than a guy you're not sure about.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a teammate with you and I was facing you, or if I didn't know you and I was facing you and I'd see all your crazy antics, I'd think you were nuts. So I'd be like, look, I don't want to know this guy. He's crazy.
Is Davey Johnson gone? Did he go back to the wedding? It looked like Lark was managing again. Call me crazy.
Mark DeRosa fouls off the first
He might have
pitch.
realized he had bad luck. They got tattooed when he showed up. Baseball people are so superstitious. Who knows?
0-1 to DeRosa. The new Indian batting with a runner aboard and one gone. We should mention, guys, that in the time between our open hitting the airwaves at roughly 8 o'clock Eastern time and the time the first pitch was thrown, which was about 8 minutes, we got official word that Brian Roberts has been added from the provisional roster, and he will join Team USA here in Miami.
Well, it's a close travel for him because the Orioles train just probably about a half hour from here, so he should be able to get here fairly quick. But you know, the story is Dustin Pedroia, as you see, Davey Johnson there is still here. Hoping his luck may turn things around after all. But Dustin Pedroia had to go back to Boston if you're coming in late. He went back to Fort Myers with the Red Sox. He had a strained oblique muscle. Went back to have his training staff evaluate him, and obviously as soon as he got on that car to go out of here to Fort Myers, he wasn't coming back.
Shane Victorino pops it for Vasquez, and that's going to do it. A runner left stranded in the third. 6-0 Puerto Rico. So far, the Puerto Rico faithful have enjoyed the beginning of this one here in Miami. A 6-0 lead for Team Puerto Rico over the U.S. as the U.S. has gone to the bullpen. Jake Peavy gone after 2 innings, and here in the bottom half of the third, it'll be Washington Nationals right-hander Joel Hanrahan, who was not on the original roster. He was added when Joe Nathan was removed. And Hanrahan happy to participate here in Miami. His first pitch to Pudge Rodriguez, however, is singled back up the middle.
Well, we talked about how important it was for Pudge to have good at-bats. Doesn't necessarily have to end up with a base hit, but good at-bats. This infield is fast. Jeter makes a dive, but nice swing. A lot of balls up the middle. You can see the approach of the team from Puerto Rico, really driving the ball back up the middle.
But Puerto Rico has really done a number on their opponents so far in the World Baseball Classic. Starting in San Juan, they have outscored opponents 21-1. Hanrahan out of the stretch with a runner aboard. His pitch home to Giovanni Soto's in for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Well, that slider was a pitch that Hanrahan added about a year ago, and it just elevated his whole game. Matt Kinzer used to pitch in the Cardinal organization, and Detroit Tigers had worked with him on a slider, and he picked it up and a little cutter, and he was able to make the difference with it.
Should be 2. Jeter to DeRosa, and a low throw cleaned up by Youkilis. They get them both.
Well, you can really see how fast this infield is.
Yes.
Ball sharp. Look how he stays down with it. Nice little flip to DeRosa. Mark DeRosa's valuable, man. He can play anywhere.
Big reason why the Cubs won last year.
I think they're really going to miss him.
There's Felipe Lopez now. Lopez homered in the second, part of a 4-run inning. You know, speaking of Mark DeRosa, and we talked about the Pedroia situation, how he was sent back to Red Sox camp. We should bring out the fact that with Brian Roberts being added to the roster, WBC rules state that for any position other than catcher, if there is a mid-round ad, as is the case with Brian Roberts, he cannot play till the semifinals. So Roberts will be unable to play until the semifinals once added to the roster officially tonight.
That rule will get changed next time around because it's about the health. If you want to have a competitive competition, you have to have healthy players on the field, and it takes away from the tournament if you're depleting rosters with injuries and not being able to put a healthy player back on the field. That's the beauty of showcasing the game of baseball. You have to have guys that can compete.
Despite the leadoff single, the 1-2-3 inning for Joel Hanrahan. We played 3. It's still 6-0 Puerto Rico. Keep up with all the latest on the World Baseball Classic at worldbaseballclassic.com. You'll find the largest selection of authentic WBC Classic items for WBC Classic. That's redundant. World Baseball Classic items for all 16 countries, including gear, t-shirts, jerseys, and more. worldbaseballclassic.com.
You're the only one who caught that. I didn't catch it. Did you catch it?
No.
The WBC Classic, the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, we got you.
We got you.
One hopper back to
We just weren't
Vasquez.
listening to you, but we caught it.
This is just like when we're in the studio together, guys. One away for Vasquez, who was allowed a total of one runner to reach base, and that was Brian McCann. He did not get past first. Smiling, not even breaking a sweat, and really enjoying himself tonight in Miami. You know, Javier Vasquez grew up in Puerto Rico watching WTBS, and his early interpretation of baseball as he works to Chipper Jones, speaking of the Braves, was Pete Van Wieren, Skip Carey, Atlanta Braves baseball, and every fifth day when Greg Maddux was on the mound, Javier Vasquez was paying close attention. On the ground to second, and Lopez takes care of Jones. That's the international impact that Major League Baseball and baseball broadcasts have had.
Yeah. Throw WGN on that too. Early superstations.
Right. Those national cable contracts, and kids growing up in all corners of the world got to watch the Cubs and Braves all the time.
Yeah, TBS took it to another level. It was pretty cool to be able to watch the Braves all the time. You know, WGN you'd see if you were in the Chicago area in the Midwest, but to be a kid who grew up on the West Coast and turn the TV on and be able to see Del Murphy playing, it was pretty cool.
Kevin Youkilis, who grounded a second in his first at-bat tonight. Vasquez is a guy who I don't believe has gotten the recognition he deserves. He's the only pitcher in baseball to make at least 30 starts, win 10, and strike out 150 or more in each of the last 9 seasons. Maybe it's because he was well traveled after he left the Expos. You know, he had a one-year tour with the Yankees, 1 year and out in Arizona, a little more consistency with the White Sox. But you just don't hear his name mentioned among the game's elite pitchers, and maybe that's a mistake.
Well, when you pitch in New York and you're on a staff with Randy Johnson and Messina, and the Yankees are, if you don't get to the World Series and win it, you fall short for the season. Anything you do pales in comparison. I mean, you're just looked at as if you did not succeed. That's unfair, but that's the truth.
See John Grabo up in the bullpen behind Hanrahan. And there is Mel Stottlemyre, as Al was talking about.
Yeah, then Mel, the longtime Yankee pitching coach, what a gentleman. You know, I think to your point, Matt, really early on, Vasquez, the young, hard thrower, great breaking ball with the Montreal Expos.
Youkilis squares up and lines it into central. Beltran makes a catch, and we'll continue talking about Vasquez as we continue tonight. The U.S. offense isn't obliging. We don't have long innings to get into any kind of discussion.
World Baseball Classic moments presented by Puerto Rico. Visit gotopuertorico.com. In 2006, on the brink of elimination, Ichiro Suzuki led a team of Japanese All-Stars to the finals with a victory against national rival Korea. In the championship game, Daisuke Matsuzaka was masterful, and for one magical night, Japan staked its claim as the greatest baseball team in the world. Book your vacation now. Visit gotopuertorico.com.
Go to the shop at worldbaseballclassic.com to get all the official merchandise and support your favorite country and players.
I got some good stuff to throw it out here. Well, Team USA has gone to the bullpen after a scoreless inning from Joel Hanrahan. It is Pittsburgh left-hander John Grabo who takes over on the mound here to work the bottom half of the fourth. 6-0 Puerto Rico as Mike Aviles leads things off. And Aviles takes a strike. Aviles, then the top of the order, Feliciano and Vasquez. Into left field for Ryan Braun, and one away. Talk a little bit about John Grabo. Last year with the Bucks, a 6-3 record, a 2.84 ERA. He made 74 appearances last year, as you take a look at Mark DeRosa out there at second base. But Grabo is a guy who has pitched himself into a valuable spot in that bullpen in Pittsburgh. And a guy who, despite early surgery and a bout with the thing, has come back to have success in the big leagues. He had surgery in the minors and then came back, couldn't throw strikes, and admitted that it was all mental. He was afraid to throw after having surgery.
After Tommy John? Elbow surgery?
After it was arthroscopic elbow surgery.
Well, the interesting thing is you watched him throw the first pitch to Aviles inside for a strike, came back with one inside. When you're able to throw the ball inside, I think, not having been a pitcher, and I'll defer to Al on this one, but I think that most guys are afraid that they're going to hit somebody when they can't throw the ball where they want to. That was Randy Johnson's problem before you. So go ahead. What you got to say, Mr. Pitcher?
All right, you done? I'm done. Yeah, look, lefty on lefty, left-handed pitchers don't face left-handed hitters as much. There's just not as many of them. So because of that, to come inside hard, you're not so worried about hitting guys. I mean, you know, obviously if you hit 4 in a row, you're going to give up a run. But it's unusual to see the left-handed batter standing there. So to your point, it is difficult to get called strikes on the inside part of the plate. The natural movement of a left-hander generally tails away from the righty and into the lefty. So therefore, it's difficult to establish called strikes. But when you see a left-handed pitcher that can do that, you open up the outside part of the plate, and that's why Grabo had an excellent year. He was a guy in the mid-4s last year, a 2.84 ERA. He was able to do that and then thus open up the outside part of the plate.
What's that got to do with not being able to throw the ball in play?
About worried about hitting a guy?
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know,
I don't think guys are that conscious of hitting people. I've never stood on the mound and said, boy, I hope I don't hit him.
I think in Grabo's case, it was just the fear of coming back from surgery. You haven't established yourself in the big leagues yet, and you're afraid to let it go. You're afraid to get out there and go that way.
Matty, there's two different things. He went on about being afraid to throw inside because you're going to hit people. There's no doubt about it. When you have surgery, I had 2 of them, you think your arm's going to fall off. And you have the fear of, is this my last pitch? And look, when guys hurt their arms, command is the first thing that goes. Before you hear about the surgery and the MRI and all that, they start losing it because they realize stuff drops a little bit. You know you're in the major leagues, good high fastball right there. You feel as though you have to continue to hit corners. And if you don't do that, you envision that you're just going to get peppered. So then all of a sudden now you see guys spraying the ball, and then all of a sudden you hear that there's arm issue. So it's command, I think, and then velocity. You'll see a lot of guys with still very good velocity. Then you hear, yeah, he's going to have surgery or he's on the DL. So he's on the DL. He was just throwing 95 miles an hour yesterday, or 2 days ago.
0-1 the count to Ramon Vasquez with the bases empty.
Glad you joined the broadcast, Al.
Well, it's hard to get a word. You can't come up for air there, Harold.
Oh, man, I love it.
I'd say let the video breathe.
It's the 0-1, and it's a ball and a strike to Vasquez.
I would agree with you.
No, you got good stuff there, Al.
No, it's good. I love it. That's good stuff. You know, a pitcher's perspective is always different than a position play.
The winner of this game takes on Venezuela on Monday. Venezuela beat the Netherlands this afternoon 3-1 here in our early contest. And the loser of this one tonight will face the Netherlands tomorrow. Two balls and 2 strikes, the count to Ramon Vasquez. After Vasquez, it's Carlos Beltran with 2 gone.
Tell you what, you may not have heard much about this young man because he's at Pittsburgh, but man, he's got good stuff. Fastball, he's throwing a nice slider. The interesting thing is I've not seen a changeup from him. And most left-handers, now I've seen 2 left-handed batters, and usually don't throw a lot of changeups to lefties. Be interesting to see if he gets a right-hander up there, what he might do.
I chart the pitch. The second pitch of this at bat, I think, Harold, to your point, it was a changeup.
Oh,
but
you
very,
chart the pitches?
Very unusual to see a left-handed pitcher throw to left-handed batter changeups.
That's 2 daggers.
Got him. Knee-high fastball into strikeout Vasquez. A couple of punch-outs for Grabo in a 1-2-3 fourth. Team USA looking to generate on offense. They're trailing 6-zip. Well, the fans that have made the trip from Puerto Rico certainly have enjoyed the way this has started here in Miami. 6-0. They lead the U.S. and David Wright will lead off the comeback process in the fifth. Wright, Dunn, and Braun against Javier Vasquez, who has allowed a total of 1 base hit, and that one man did not get past first base.
Well, you're seeing a lot of first pitch swinging, and you're wondering, run the pitch count up on him. Do it. That's what you need to do, because as you look at Vasquez, he's had everything working. He's had the off-speed pitch, the changeup. He's had the fastball working, the breaking pitch. And when you're able to get ahead of guys, you're going to get big outs, and that's what he's been able to do. But you're probably wondering, why are they swinging so early in the count? When you're not having good at-bats, and David Wright with the base hit there, you're not going to wait around to see if you can hit a breaking pitch. You're going to swing early in the count.
Leadoff single. The U.S. has its leadoff hitter report for the first time tonight, and a base runner for Adam Dunn.
And from the pitcher's perspective, Vasquez is doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You have a 6-run lead, 6-0, only 2 hits. You aggressively go after the hitters. You don't want to go down middle of the plate, but you're thinking somewhere away from the sting zone. If you, in this case with Dunn, you want to stay away from happy zone in the inner half, but you get strikes and then get to your off-speed punch.
Well, there has not been an earned run allowed by Javier Vasquez in this World Baseball Classic thus far. He's working almost 9 innings. He's given up only 6 knocks.
You saw Dunn fake a bunt right there. Look at everybody running. When you have a guy throwing a lot of strikes, you want to get him off the mound. You don't want the big guy to get him off. Let's do that.
Adam Dunn deposits a single into center. Little micro rally for Team USA. They have multiple base runners aboard for the first time tonight. And Ryan Braun with an opportunity.
Another fastball. Middle of the plate. He got behind 1-0. Dunn took the first pitch. Nice piece of hitting. Just driving the ball up the middle.
Well, Al, to your point, you know, Vasquez is throwing that fastball for strikes, but that's the only pitch they're hitting right now. You know, so does he have to get back into the rhythm he was in, mixing all his pitches, regardless of the score?
Well, I think as this inning develops as it is now, with nobody out and 2 runners on, you'll see Vasquez start incorporating his other pitches. It's a fine line when you're a pitcher with a big lead. Some guys don't know how to pitch with it, because you know you got to throw strikes and get ahead, and you don't want to end up throwing backwards 2-0, 2-1 sliders or changeups, because you want to stay in good counts.
Ryan Braun has homered in the World Baseball Classic. He's got 2 runners aboard here with nobody out. And takes a strike.
Well, this isn't Hialeah Little League either. I mean, these guys can drop a 6 spot on you real quick, this lineup.
We'll see how he attacks Ryan Braun here. Gets ahead with his fastball. See if he expands with off-speed pitch.
0-1 pitch is chopped to third. Vasquez gets 1 and settles for that.
That's a bad play. No.
Well, a utility infielder, not a third baseman by trade, and Vasquez just plays it safely for the 1 out.
Well, all he's got to do is go to second base. You're already halfway there, and let them turn to double play, because too many things can happen. That's a long throw. He slipped off the base. You end up with runners on first and second. If you go to second base, you get the double play, you get 2 outs. And now your pitcher can breathe a little bit. You always want to go and try, and the ball's going to take him that direction, throw it to second, and see what happens.
Here's Brian McCann now. Dunn at second, Braun the runner at first with 1 gone. And McCann takes a strike. Since 2006, McCann's first full season in the big leagues, no major league catcher has hit more home runs, 65 over the last 3 years for the Braves backstop. And he's a big fly away from cutting the Puerto Rico lead in half. Mark DeRosa waits on deck. 1-1.
You know, and I know that's just a teaching point that I was going on with Vasquez, but you got to go ahead and cut off that runner at second base and give your second baseman a chance. You had a guy who was out in front of a ball, wasn't running real well. You had a chance to turn that over and get the 2 outs. I know you can't assume a double play, but it's really nice to think you might just level.
Could he have possibly thought he was a lot closer to third base? I mean, if he was a step or 2 off the bag.
Yeah, he could have very possibly
maybe
thought that.
He wasn't sure where he was.
But you gotta know where you're at.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just a tough play that I don't know. I think at this level you got to throw the ball second base.
Yeah.
That's I'll end it there.
You just saw the pitch count on Vasquez at 56 here in the middle of the 5th. 2 balls and a strike to count to Brian McCann. Since professional players were introduced to international competition in 1999, Team USA has never been defeated by Puerto Rico. Granted, there have been only 3 matchups over that period. 2-2.
That's interesting.
Little cut fastball. Was staying away. You see that ball cut. It's not a slider. It's not a fastball. Late movement. McCann was getting dose of 2-seam fastballs away. I don't know if he liked Wagner's call there.
Well, he thought that ball was down. It looked like it by his reaction. Well, Javi stayed down on the zone, and he's got a lot of ground balls. And make a double play ball here.
Instead, it's into the corner and right. This is going to score. Done. Braun will be held at third. Brian McCann 2 for 2. He drives in the first run of the night for Team USA, and it's 6-1 Puerto Rico.
Nice piece of hitting right here, staying down and you know, throwing that cutter, Al, and then came back with a breaking ball down. McCann did a nice job of staying on that pitch. And it's all about tracking the baseball. Nice piece of hitting.
You think these guys aren't taking this seriously? We talked about it a lot. You know, granted it's still spring, but there's plenty of emotion out there in these matchups.
Well, every time you put a uniform on and you amp up the competition to this level, you're going to dial in. And that's one of the things that these players were talking about during batting practice yesterday. You're now locked in. It's not throwing away a spring training at bat. You're getting yourself dialed up and ready to go. And you see Nelson Figueroa dialing up right now for Puerto Rico to get loose.
Well, there's definitely the remnants of 06 and the team not getting to the semifinals. These guys feel it. They know it. And there's no question that they want to do well. And every team wants to win. Put the uniform on, you want to come out here and win. You certainly don't want to be embarrassed.
Runners at second and third with a run in now for Mark DeRosa, who takes a strike. We want to clarify as well the addition to Brian Roberts to the Team USA roster. Because Roberts was officially announced, the move was announced before first pitch was thrown. He is in fact eligible for this second pool of play. So Roberts can play as soon as he gets here. And DeRosa's behind 0-2.
Yeah, so had they thrown first pitch and then he was announced, he would not be eligible till the second round like you were speaking of, or semifinals.
Right.
From here.
He is eligible to play as soon as he can arrive from Orioles camp. So there will be some additional depth at second base for Davy Johnson. It's 0-2 to tonight's second baseman for Team USA. Ball and 2 strikes now.
And that's obviously a good thing. We were talking to, I guess, Paul Seiler and Bob Watson, that there was some uncertainty as to whether the rosters had to be set for the pool's first pitch, which would have been the first game today. But obviously that wasn't the case because they were able to add Brian Roberts before the first pitch of this game.
Yeah, because they didn't find out about Pedroia's injury until late.
That's right.
This afternoon.
And it should be. You don't want anybody to be short a player, or God forbid if DeRosa or some of the middle infielder got hurt, who would play second?
Well, Brian Roberts brings a nice dimension to the club. Switch hitter. And the thing he brings more than anything else, he's got more at-bats already than anybody on this team. He's been playing every day in the Orioles camp, and so he's more game ready than these players are right now. And it'd be a nice pickup for him to hop in this action and be able to ignite this offense a little bit.
The 2-2 to DeRosa's fouled away.
Well, you mentioned it. Fort Lauderdale is only right up the road. If they got his uniform size, I wouldn't be surprised sometime during this game that we'll see him on the bench.
Oh, we saw Davey Johnson come back.
Yeah. Pedro Feliciano. Figueroa there. Double barrel.
He could come play tonight and go back and pack if you have a day tomorrow to do that.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes.
2-2 to DeRosa. Buckled him. Wow.
That was his biggest hook of the night. Put a little extra on that one.
Well, he threw McCann the curveball, but a slow curveball down and into a lefty's danger zone. DeRosa obviously not happy with that. It was all hard fastballs. It was hard cutter. And then he threw the high fastball before that curveball. You see DeRosa just getting locked up.
I think he's more upset the fact that he felt the umpire put him in a hole. And anytime you feel like that one pitch, everybody says, oh, it's just one pitch. It changes the whole AB.
For both sides, I agree, Harold. People say, what are you complaining? It was only the second pitch. If you're going from either a 1-0 to 1-1 or 1-0 to 2-0 or whatever it is early in the count, it sets up the whole at bat, as you say.
So with 2 gone now, it's back at the top of the order. Shane Victorino, who has grounded to first and popped out on the first pitch in his most recent at-bat in foul territory. And Victorino takes a strike.
Well, the other thing about that strikeout that Vasquez was able to get right there, you had second and third. He puts the ball in play. They're giving you a run. The infielders were back. The outfield was playing deep. If you put the ball in play, you're going to pick up a run. And that, DeRosa, knowing the game and being the player he is, that's probably why he was even more upset than usual.
And Victorino slaps that foul. Well, the U.S. team has made Javier Vasquez work for the first time tonight here in the 5th. 3 hits and a run. A couple of runners in scoring position here with 2 gone for Victorino, who's behind 0-2. Jimmy Rollins, we're told, will play at some point tonight. Little jam shot pop up into left. And only one for Team USA. Middle of the night, it's 6-1 Puerto Rico.
World Baseball Classic games on MLB Network are presented by IBM. Let's build a smarter planet. Visit IBM.com.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Well, the new San Diego Padres closer Heath Bell will take over on the mound here and work the bottom of the 5th inning. And if Aaron Rodgers thought he had a hard time replacing Brett Favre in Green Bay, he might want to give Heath Bell a call, because stepping in for a legend like Trevor Hoffman is ripe with landmines. Going to be a tough gig, but one the Padres think Bell can handle. He'll start it against Carlos Beltran, Delgado, and Rios, and he'll try to keep this at a 5-run U.S. deficit. Carlos Beltran, 2 hits, both against Jake Peavy tonight. And speaking of the Padres, Peavy was the starter. He gave up the 6 runs. Joel Hanrahan and John Grabo worked scoreless innings in relief. And it's 2-0.
Well, if you're Jake Peavy and you're sitting back looking at your 2 outings you had, you're trying to really find yourself right now and figure out where you go from here. And I just think he just needs work. Once he gets his work in, he's able to locate, get his rhythm back, he'll be fine.
Well, and assuming that, the flu bug still isn't bothering him. But you're right. There's such a different mindset. You mentioned, Heath Bell. I hadn't played with him with the Mets. And, the last couple of years, he was as good as any National League pitcher in holds. But the way in which you approach as a pitcher early part of spring training is different when you're an established guy knowing that you've already made the club. And for me, Jake Peavy, his stuff was not where he wanted to be velocity-wise, but you know, you could also take these opportunities to make sure that you hit your spot. And I know earlier you said, you know, just there wasn't enough coming out. You could still be mindful of being inside, outside corners. You don't have to throw it 95 miles an hour to get a major hitter out.
Beltran aboard to start the inning. As we remind you to join us during the regular season when MLB Tonight brings you live nightly coverage of every Major League game from the first pitch in the East to the last out in the West. MLB Tonight every Monday through Saturday throughout the season on MLB Network, our national pastime all the time. So with the leadoff hitter aboard, here's Delgado. 2 runs batted in for Carlos tonight, an RBI single in the first, one coming on a ground ball in the second. That's into the left field corner for Braun, 1 away.
Beltran tagging up on him.
And getting to second base in front of the throw.
They want to appeal this because it looked like he left a little early. Now Heath Bell did not see Euclid's calling for the ball. Now it's dead. So what they'll have to do now, as you see him tagging up here, looked like he double clutched, and that's what Euclid is looking at. Did he touch the base and take off? So they're going to go ahead and appeal this. Now the ball has to come into action. You'll see the pitcher step off to make it live, and then they'll look and see about the appeal.
Well, and from that angle, Luis Ramirez, the first base umpire, had a perfect view. A lot of times there's an angle as to whether an umpire could actually see the outfielder catch it, and then the time as to whether the runner left early.
Now they're saying forget about it.
So a runner at second now for Alex Rios, who fights off a fastball and fouls it away. You mentioned Al, Heath Bell being developed by the Mets, and it was in what was otherwise a low-profile deal that he was acquired by San Diego, and a couple of years of tutelage behind Trevor Hoffman. Well, and now the job is his.
You know, and he got in considerable shape. He's a big guy, thick legs, just a big man. And haven't seen him with the Mets in the minor leagues and then some big league camps. Like you saw the arm. I mean, this guy's a legit 95-plus velocity guy. We saw a good slider there. And he actually got in shape. Better shape.
Pudge Rodriguez waiting next. 1 ball and 1 strike to count to Alex Rios. The winner in this one gets to enjoy the day away from the ballpark tomorrow and take on Venezuela on Monday. The loser in this ball game will be faced with a win or go home situation tomorrow in taking on the Netherlands. Again, double elimination in the World Baseball Classic. A loss tonight is not the end of the line.
But a very big game. That first game in a double elimination.
One more pitch. Watch Carlos Beltran take off and steal third here. He's been kind of slowly setting it up, and that's the one thing when a guy is a closer. We've been talking about Heath Bell. You better get used to guys running on you because it's not the same as it is 7th or 8th inning. If you're a big-time closer at the end of the game, you got so much concentration on that hitter. See, Beltran is getting ready to go right there.
He is bouncing off second base. He stays put, and Bell comes home. A ground ball to shortstop for Jeter, and that's out number 2.
You know, and enough pitches. That's great, Harold. That we get a great vantage point for that. You know, there are pitchers that will come set, they'll look once, turn 1,000, 2,000, go home, and they do the same thing every time. A good base runner like Carlos Beltran identifies that he's going to go, and you saw that last play. I don't know whether he got some heads up from DeRosa to say, hey, give a couple looks here.
Yeah, he tipped it off the pitch before. That's when I started to see it. He's not going to run now in this situation, and if you're DeRosa, you let him run with 2 outs. You back up and take the ball away from Pudge if he hits the ball on the ground. If you want Beltran to go, let him go, but I don't think he runs in this situation. At least he shouldn't be, but he might.
Pudge Rodriguez 1 for 2 tonight, and not in the starting lineup about an hour before first pitch was thrown. Again, we had Giovanni Soto behind the plate tonight.
Well, one of the things that Jose Oquendo said, he wanted to make sure that Pudge had every opportunity to showcase him. They've got the 3 catchers. We've talked about that. We've documented that point. But Pudge is going to either DH or catch, giving him an opportunity to showcase himself and give him a job. Nobody got a bigger ovation than he did when it was time to announce the club.
One guy did. Bernie Williams.
Yes, Bernie did. You're absolutely right. I'll give you that.
But I totally agree with your point here. Pudge wants to play as much as he can, especially on a night like tonight. Let's face it, it's nationally televised. You're playing the U.S. team. He wants to prove that he's still got something left in the tank.
And out of respect for Pudge, Jose Kendo, I mean, he wasn't afraid to admit the fact, hey, look, I'm trying to get him as many at-bats. It's been great for not only Puerto Rican baseball, but baseball as a whole. Future Hall of Famer. He deserves it.
What does Molina and Soto have to prove at this point in their career?
There goes Beltran, and Pudge slaps it into right field. Dunn can't make the play. Beltran scores, Rodriguez to second, and it's 7-1 Puerto Rico.
Well, Pudge is, that's a big at-bat for him. You see Dunn coming in, and that just wasn't able to get that ball off the side of the glove.
All right, I'm going to ask you both. You're playing official scoring tonight. Is that an RBI knock or is that an E9?
I think for Major League outfield, I don't believe that it was that hard. I mean, it was a hard sinking hit.
That's a knock. Anytime you leave your feet, it's a base hit. I mean, he's not the best defender. What are you saying? I think it's a hit. What do you think?
Well, it's been scored officially as a hit, so what I think doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it was a sinking, slicing ball.
That's a total cop-out. That's a total cop-out. That's a makeable play.
It's a makeable play, but there's factors. Anytime you leave your feet and the ball gets in the lights, you don't know what happened. If he drops this one, that's an error. The other one, I'm giving Pudge a hit. We'll debate it.
Puerto Rico adds on. It's 7-1 Team PR.
He copped out on.
Welcome to this MLB Tonight update. I'm Victor Rojas. Lots of spring training action on Saturday, so let's get you caught up with highlights from the Grapefruit League. We go down to Florida. Jupiter, St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Atlanta Braves. Bottom of the fifth inning. It is Albert Pujols once again. This time off Kenshin Kawakami, a single to left. Skip Schumacher scores. Cardinals take a 2-1 lead. Pujols ends up going 1 for 3 with an RBI. Cardinals hold on for a 2-1 victory. Adam Wainwright earned his first win of the spring. He pitched 5 innings, giving up 1 run and 6 hits while striking out 4. Ryan Franklin pitched 2 scoreless innings, striking out 2 for the Cardinals. The Rays took on the Reds in Sarasota. Pat Burrell down the left field line, a double. That scores Carlos Pena, and the Rays go up 2-0. Scott Kazmir looked very good, striking out Juan Francisco. 4 innings, 5 hits, a run, 3 strikeouts. In the top of the 4th inning, Willie Ibar struggled with the glove, but with the bat, he picks up his first jack of the spring. The Rays go on to win by the final of 3-1. Carlos Pena had a double for the Rays, while Carl Crawford had a stolen base for the defending American League champs. Bronson Arroyo pitched 4 2/3, giving up 3 runs while striking out 4. And the Tigers hosted the Blue Jays in Lakeland. The D-Train, Dontrell Willis on the hill. But in the top of the 1st inning, Adam Lind, a triple to left field, put the Jays up by the score of 2-0. In the bottom of the 5th inning, Detroit Tigers catcher Gerald Laird goes deep to left center. This one off left-hander Mike Maroth. 2-run shot as the Tigers roll to a final of 10-4. Dontrell Willis pitched 3 innings, giving up 4 runs for the Tigers. Also for Detroit, Nate Robertson pitched 3 innings and gave up 1 hit in relief. That's it for this MLB Tonight update. I'm Victor Rojas. Now back to Matt, Harold, and Al in Miami.
Well, it's been a fun night so far for Team Puerto Rico and a frustrating night for the U.S. 7-1 for the home-standing Puerto Ricans. Back without Leiter and Harold Reynolds, Matt Vasgersian, the U.S. running out of chances. We're in the top half of the 6th inning. It'll be Derek Jeter, Chipper Jones, and Kevin Youkilis against Right-hander Nelson Figueroa taking over on the mound for Javier Vasquez. And a strike to make it 1-1.
Figueroa last year with the Mets, 3-3 with a 4.57. Bit of a journeyman over the years now. Had some big league time with several big league clubs.
When he first got signed with the Mets last year, and they brought him in when they were trying to figure out, after Pedro's injury, getting some innings out of different guys, he pitched quite well early and then got overexposed a little bit. It looked like the more he was used as a starter in the bullpen, different things like that. Very versatile, but I thought towards his time there, he got overexposed a little bit.
Yeah, and to your point, Harold, overexposed is what? It's a guy with a good fastball to maybe below average. There's J.J. Puts, USA bullpen warming up, and has to use all of his pitches, and that's what Figueroa is.
He makes Derek Jeter roll over and ground it to Aviles, and there's one gone to start the sixth. Well, Nelson Figueroa has been remarkably well traveled for a guy who you still wouldn't consider a senior statesman. Figueroa, 34 years old. He's a Brandeis man. And as Al mentioned, most recently time in New York. Spent time with the Bucks and the Brewers system. Diamondbacks and Phillies. One gone for Chipper Jones.
Chipper's really trying to get it going. You know, he hasn't quite had good at bats yet. And speaking with him in the cage today, the left side is more mechanical than the right. He's got a lot more moving parts. You know, he has that toe tap, try to get back through the zone. So it takes a little bit longer to get going. He just hasn't had good swings yet. And this is a good at bat. He's seen some pitches now. He's taken some, and you can see he's having a better approach.
Well, and like Pedroia, Chipper obviously not as bad, but he had the little oblique pull, and that didn't help. He had to take some time off. Looks in good shape this year. Talking to him around the batting cage last year of his contract with the Braves. Lean. He says he's like this every spring.
A guy like Chipper, it doesn't matter what his contract status is. I think he'll be a Brave as long as he wants to be a Brave.
I think that's part of the reason why the Braves just couldn't find the extra cash to keep John Smoltz around for another year. They saw this guy coming up a year down the road and thought, we need every nickel we can scratch together to keep Chipper. He takes a look at a called strike three here. And Chipper tossing his bat in frustration, symptomatic of the entire night for the U.S.
Boy, that looks knee-high on the outside part of the plate.
Well, he thought it was ball four. And again, that's all about tracking the baseball.
Yep.
And when you're not seeing it, you're just not seeing it. Jeter's not having good at-bats. Chipper not having good at-bats. When you take that production out of your middle of your order, DeRosa hasn't hit much, you're not going to score a lot of runs.
Kevin Youkilis now 0 for 2 so far tonight. Javier Vasquez started in this ball game for Team Puerto Rico and went 5, allowing just the 1 run. And if you think that maybe the U.S. hitters can lick their chops a little bit now that they're into the bullpen, think again. Bullpen has not given up a run for Team Puerto Rico so far in the World Baseball Classic. 15 innings of work.
Well, coming into tonight's game, the whole staff only gave up 1 run in 27 innings.
Look at that. That was like a Sony PlayStation breaking ball there.
Well, I tell you, off of what you're saying there, Matt, I really honestly believe that for the first 2.5 weeks of spring training, where we're at really right now, pitchers have an advantage. I get arguments from pitchers all the time, but they have a huge advantage because you don't hit breaking pitches. Off-speed pitches are exactly that to hitters. They keep them off balance, and the pitcher has an advantage. And if you're looking all around the World Baseball Classic, these great pitching performances, they're keeping hitters off balance. They're not ready yet.
I agree. I mean, you know, what you just described is pitching, and certainly early on. Look, a pitcher starts his throwing program middle of December. By the time spring training rolls around, he's pretty locked in.
Back to Figueroa and a 1-2-3 sixth. Still 7-1 Puerto Rico. 7-1 Puerto Rico. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning with some changes for Team USA. Felipe Lopez will lead it off against the new pitcher for the Americans as J.J. Puts takes over on the mound. Lopez, Aviles, and Feliciano here for Puerto Rico. The first ball, ground ball. Euclid to Puts, and there's one gone. There's a new shortstop as well. We might get a look at him here shortly as Jimmy Rollins takes over for Derek Jeter. A move that Barry Larkin told us about in his very brief tenure as manager of Team USA. About an inning and a third before Davey Johnson got back from his wedding.
But he got all the pregame interviews.
He did. He did. One gone for Mike Aviles. Sir Jimmy. That had been a talking point and a valid one early on in the World Baseball Classic, guys, because how do you possibly make that decision between Derek Jeter and Jimmy Rollins as to who's going to get the lion's share of playing time, who's going to start on any given day? You're talking about two of the best shortstops in baseball, one who's one of the most highly decorated facemen for a jewel of a franchise, the other guy who just came off a World Series title.
Well, granted, it's not in game speed, game pitching, but I talked to Jimmy Rollins about that. And he's deferring to Derek Jeter. He said, "Look, I'm getting a lot of work in. I'm getting, batting practice, my flips, his normal routine. But to get the live action and seeing Major League arms, that's a different story. But I think, by trying to get at bats in each game is not a bad idea. Certainly in a game like this, with the game a bit out of hand at 7-1."
See, I'm not as quite politically correct as you are and these guys. I think it's a bad situation because these guys are the signature guys of their teams. And if Derek Jeter doesn't perform well in New York and gets off to a slow start, the Yankees are going to scuffle, especially with Alex Rodriguez out. You're going to need his offensive production. Jimmy Rollins doesn't perform with Chase Utley maybe not coming back. That's a huge burden on those two organizations. So it's a tough bit to try to get them both action. And what is the answer? I don't know. Maybe it's playing more games on the off day when they have an off day, making sure everybody gets games played. It's a tough situation to be in.
Or less off days. Try to eliminate some of the off days so that the time span isn't as great. You can get back to your clubs sooner.
Or you make the tough decision. You bring one of them. And you bring some utility men to back them up. That's just the way you do it. You don't have to bring them both. Bring one.
The 2-2 home from Puts to Aviles misses up and in.
I mean, they made that decision at first base. They said Euclid is going to play. They made it at second with Pedroia. He was going to play. And David Wright's going to play third. Chipper is going to DH. So why did you all of a sudden decide at shortstop that you're not going to just pick one guy and say we'll bring another Mark DeRosa along and let him play his role as the utility guy?
So what's the answer?
I just gave it to you. Take one of them. But right now there is no answer. We just try to play it out.
Back to Puts for the second out. So two gone for the top of the order now. With the bases empty, it'll be Jesus Feliciano once again. Feliciano is one of the nice stories in this World Baseball Classic competition as you take a look at the aforementioned Bernie Williams, Giovanni Soto, and the rest of the F troop tonight for Team Puerto Rico. Feliciano was a bat boy for the Puerto Rican national team in the 80s and early part of the 90s when his father was a star for the Puerto Rican national squad. So from bat boy to a guy on the cusp of a major league career and playing for the very team that he used to carry the equipment around for 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like those stories. Who's the young man in Toronto that was the clubby that's the pitcher? His name slips me right now.
Back up the middle, and Puts can't make the skate save, and it's past Rollins, a base hit.
Well, Feliciano, I said it his first at bat. Jose Oquendo is just surprised. I love to ask the managers or different guys, who has surprised you when you got a chance to see them? Jimmy Rollins diving for the balls, who Barry Larkin said he's an incredible player. I didn't realize it. And this young man right here, Feliciano, who seems to stay on this J.J. Putz changeup, takes it back up the middle. Oquendo said he's really surprised me. I'm surprised he's not in the big leagues.
And also along the line with Ramon Vasquez. You know, there's always a couple guys, as you say, Harold, that you forget about the big stars that everybody knows name-wise. You have the players like Feliciano that go under the radar.
First pitch to Ramon Vasquez misses away. Vasquez has doubled in 3 trips to the plate tonight. His first hit of the World Baseball Classic coming this evening, breaking an 0 for 11. It's been the top of the order that has done significant damage for Team Puerto Rico. 1 through 4 hitters are 6 for 11 tonight. Counts 2-0. Again to the winner, a matchup with Venezuela. That's on Monday. The loser of this one plays tomorrow. They draw the Netherlands in what is a lose and go home scenario. Well, the Michigan-born right-hander is set once again out of the stretch here, just 2-0. And it's put in play the second. DeRosa to Youkilis, and that'll retire the side. We played 6 complete. It's 7-1 Puerto Rico.
World Baseball Classic Moments presented by Puerto Rico. Visit GoToPuertoRico.com. In 2006, Team USA came to the World Baseball Classic filled with a roster of superstars, including 7 Cy Young Award winners and 5 Most Valuable Players. But the United States was in for a surprise as their opponents played up to the competition, and Team USA's quest to be crowned the first world champion went unfulfilled. Book your vacation now. Visit GoToPuertoRico.com.
Keep up with the 2009 World Baseball Classic. Get the latest news, live stats, find tickets, buy official gear, and watch live all in one place. WorldBaseballClassic.com. Don't miss a moment.
Welcome back. We're into the back third, top half of the 7th inning, and Team USA on the short end of a 7-1 score. Back with Al Leiter and Harold Reynolds. Matt Vasgersian from Dolphin Stadium in Miami, and David Wright will lead off the U.S. 7th. Wright, Dunn, and Braun as Nelson Figueroa continues for a second inning of relief behind Javier Vasquez, who was fantastic for 5 tonight. The end of the bat struck out to second base for Lopez, and 1 gone. Tomorrow, Pool 2 action continues from Miami. The Netherlands will take on the loser of this contest at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN2. And then Pool 1 action starts in San Diego. Action from Petco Park as Japan takes on Cuba at 4 Eastern. And Mexico takes on Korea at 11 p.m. Eastern time.
You always have these little funny moments in the game. Ground out right there. Delgado stepped off the base and tagged David Wright instead of forcing him out. And those little Met moments.
Counts 2 balls and no strikes to Adam Dunn. Well, Adam Dunn found himself some work in the offseason after sitting by the phone for what we all thought was a rather long period of time given his power. And there's a little bit of it there into right center field. And Dunn will glide into second easily with a 1-out double.
Yeah, he sat around a long time, got a nice deal with the Washington Nationals, 2-year deal. But, you know, it's interesting watching Adam Dunn play in a situation like this where he has to concentrate and lock in. He's having some good at-bats. I don't know how in the world this guy strikes out 190 times a season. He's got too good a swing.
Well, especially we just saw that down swing. I mean, such a good, drops the head. Normally left-handers like the ball down in, but you saw that ball that was running away. Harold, I would just say, I mean, you know, most big hitters, you know, if you could expand, they swing at bad balls up in the zone, and obviously it's an expansion, but You know, here's a guy that does strike out a lot, but you throw in that little sweet spot area down in the zone, he will hit it a long way.
Here's Ryan Braun now with a runner at second. Right back up the middle, a base hit. Dunn held at third, and now they're going to wave him, but it's all too late. Mike Schmidt, the third base coach, was holding Dunn. When he saw the bobble by Beltran in center, he tried to send him, but Big Adam Dunn had already thrown on the brake.
Well, when you're losing as much as they are, it's tough to gamble. This is a bullet, and this is a Gold Glove center fielder out there. He doesn't expect Beltran to bobble this ball. By the time Dunn gets to the bag, the ball's already bounced off Beltran's glove, and Mike Schmidt has made his call. I understand why he made that call in that situation. You're not anticipating Beltran missing that ball. One hop seed. Hank Whittam, Hall of Famer, you're okay. I'm agreeing with you on that call.
That's going to be all for Nelson Figueroa as Puerto Rico goes to the bullpen for a left-hander. We'll be back.
The World Baseball Classic. Behind every play, a nation. And every night, the most complete coverage, highlights, and analysis presented by Sprint. Coming up next, only on MLB Network.
A couple of left-handed options for Jose Oquendo in his bullpen, and he has selected ex-Rocky and current Red Sox Javier Lopez with runners at first and third, and the left-handed hitting Brian McCann at the plate for Team USA. The Americans running out of opportunities to get back in it, and a big swing and a miss. It's 0-1.
You know, I'm a stickler for positioning, and Delgado's holding this guy, and not holding him. He's playing in front of the guy at first base. So back up. You got a left-handed hitter on. Back all the way up behind him. You're up big lead. Play outs. Just a thought.
Yeah, I agree. If you're either going to hold him or not, he's about 3 feet off the bag. Give up the run, and if you're back, you may even get a double play out of it.
Well, you got a left-hander who just drove a ball by you last time down the line.
Ball and 2 strikes to count. If you want to get a little farther ahead of our matchup here with Mark DeRosa due up next. There is a right-hander up in the bullpen for Puerto Rico. And I'd be surprised if they let Lopez face DeRosa.
Well, this is Lopez's role. If you watch the Red Sox much, here's the pitch I was talking about with McCann going down and driving one by Delgado. The position he's in right there is much deeper than the position he's playing right now, holding the runner at first base. And you saw McCann just slice the ball down the line. But this is the role Lopez is used to, the left-hander matchup, and then he'll be done after one batter.
You mentioned all last year, Lopez 70 games at 59 innings is exactly what you're talking about, Harold. Come in for a key out or two. Did a nice job for the Red Sox.
Strike shot, Brian McCann. And there are 2 gone. Here comes Jose Oquendo on cue. He will, in fact, make another change.
Well, again, great pitch right here, and also situations. When the guy's situation comes up in the game, you make the move. And that's exactly what they did. They're getting Lopez ready for the season. They gave him the tough lefty. He did his job. Tipped the cap.
Enter Saul Rivera. We'll be right back. Well, though Saul Rivera attended the University of Mobile in Alabama and played right field there, he was born in Puerto Rico. And he'll make an appearance for his Puerto Rican national team here against Team USA with runners at the corners and 2 gone. And Puerto Rico on top 7-1. Mark DeRosa struggled in 2 plate appearances tonight against Javier Vasquez. Struck out swinging on both occasions.
Yeah, the last pitch Vasquez threw him, though, was a nasty hook he had not shown anybody else all night. It was a beautifully placed pitch. And Mark's been arguing with the umpire all night. He just hasn't seen the ball. They are not in sync.
Well, and you mentioned that hook. He was upset the fact that he didn't put the ball in play. There was less than 2 outs with runner at third. DeRosa up.
But remember earlier in that count, he was complaining about a pitch that changed the whole AB for him.
2 balls and a strike.
Saw Rivera, sinker, slider, a lot of movement. Played for Washington last year.
Shane Victorino waits on deck, the top of the order next. Found a way to make it 2-2.
You can really see the frustration in a lot of these hitters from the U.S. They're just not seeing the ball and having good approaches. It's one thing if you line out and you have an opener in the box score and you can go back and say, I feel good about myself. There's not a lot of confidence being exuded tonight with some of these swings.
Well, how are they going to feel? Let's assume that this plays out. Well, at least they won't have the day off. But I know that the 2 days off twice in Toronto leading up to a game, and then also the 2 days leading here. You know, how do you get in the rhythm if you don't play every day or get some ABs?
He's got to keep working.
Popped him up. Delgado off the bag at first, and the rally dies with 2 runners left stranded. 7th inning stretch in Miami with Puerto Rico on top of Team USA 7-1.
Welcome to this Viagra update. I'm Victor Rojas. Earlier in the day, Venezuela took on the Netherlands in Pool 2 action of the World Baseball Classic. To Miami we go. That's Dolphin Stadium. Sir Sidney Ponson on the hill. Bottom of the 4th inning, Miguel Cabrera at the plate with 1 out. Jacks one to left over the out-of-town scoreboard. Cabrera very familiar with those bleachers. 65 Jacks as a member of the Florida Marlins. That home run put Venezuela up 2-1. They end up going on to pick up the victory, 3-1 the final. Carlos Silva got the win for Venezuela, throwing 79 pitches in 7 innings, giving up only 4 hits and 1 run while striking out 4. Venezuela plays the winner of USA versus Puerto Rico on Monday. After the game, don't forget to tune in to WBC tonight for full highlights of today's World Baseball Classic games, only on MLB Network. I'm Victor Rojas. This has been the Viagra Update.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing party for fans of Team Puerto Rico in the stands tonight in Miami. They scored 2 in the first and have not looked back, and it's the teeth of the Puerto Rico order here. Beltran, Delgado, and Rios against Chicago White Sox property left-hander Matt Thornton taking over on the mound for Team USA.
Well, there's some guys you watch throw and you wonder how in the world did he end up with the White Sox. I know he traded from the Mariners, but he has got great stuff. I watched him last year in the postseason. Fastball electric. High 90s.
Swinging a drive into deep left field. Braun will back up on it and watch. Carlos Beltran. His first World Baseball Classic home run has made it 8-1 Puerto Rico.
I tell you what, I've seen a different spark in Carlos Beltran this year. You know, in Met camp, he swung the bat quite well. Here, yes, this ball's peppered, but we've seen everything tonight. The stolen base, the ability to run. You know, we haven't seen him throw like he can, but man alive, this ball's crushed from both sides of the plate, swinging the bat well.
There's Carlos Delgado now, and Delgado takes a fastball for a strike.
And talking about stuff and location, we're talking tonight, Matt Thornton does have that electric fastball, but when you're in 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 counts, a good major league hitter like Carlos Beltran, they will hit it a long way when they can eliminate all pitches, as he did there.
Puerto Rico hanging a big, ugly number on Team USA tonight. That's tap past Thornton. Rollins has it, and there's 1 away. This has really turned into a Johnny Holstaff night for Team USA as well. Pitching coach Marcel Latchman is emptying out his vault. Peavy went 2. Joe Hanrahan, John Grabo, Heath Bell, J.J. Putz, and now Matt Thornton have all pitched an inning of work.
Well, and that's what Marcel was talking about. Because of these off days and the way the pitchers matched up, there were these guys, all the guys you just mentioned, Matt, had 5 and 6 days off. You're going to see Matt Lindstrom, too, because he was also on that list. So, I mean, if there is a silver lining in this, is that these guys were able to get some work in tonight.
Yeah, 5 and 6 days off is not good, particularly this time of year when you're trying to get yourself in shape and get in a rhythm.
And Alex Rios bounces one foul.
And what they've been doing to combat that is they've been throwing a lot of bullpens. They've actually, like you said, they've got another pitching coach, Mel Stoudemire, here. But these guys have been throwing extra work, and they got the 5-man rotation going to try to do it. But you know, Matt, Al, you can talk to what's the difference between a bullpen and facing hitters.
It's night and day. You could talk about probably the same thing as hitting in batting practice.
The rollover ground ball for Jimmy Rollins. After the game, get a complete roundup of all the World Baseball Classic action with highlights, analysis, and a look ahead to the next round of the tournament. That's the World Baseball Classic tonight, presented by Sprint, coming up right after the game, right here on MLB Network.
And especially to further that, Harold, you're talking about closers or, relievers. And, in spring training, you build up early in camp, you'd pitch every other day an inning, and then they're going to find a spot where you can pitch 2 days in a row, take a day off. It's very patterned for Major League pitching coaches and what they try to do with their relievers. So to not pitch in 4 or 5, in some cases 6 days of this, that's way too long to not see live action.
0-1 the count home to Pudge Rodriguez. And we were talking about Pudge earlier, guys, as he falls behind 0-2, and we're talking about the warm ovation he received here. Of course, one of the most popular Major League players ever to come off of Puerto Rico. He and Bernie Williams got loud ovations, but there was perhaps a little extra push from some local fans here in Miami, recognizing Pudge's one and only season with the Marlins in 2003, resulting in a world championship. He was such an integral part of that title.
I'm laughing, Matt, because seriously, how many people did they draw here?
No, when they won, they were
absolutely. Come postseason time, there were people that came to these games. It was a big ticket.
Send all your emails.
You know what the problem was, and I'll say something on behalf of the Florida Marlins, is the fact that they've just never been able to keep the same team on the field for multiple years, and they haven't been able to grow the fan base. They had to start over in the stands the same way they did in the field. As Rodriguez lines that one into the corner, Pudge is on his way to second. Give the 37-year-old backstop a contract somewhere. He is sending a message to all 30 general managers tonight. 2 for 4, calling a heck of a game, and featured prominently in an 8-1 lead.
Backdoor slider. Got to honor Matt Thornton's good fastball. You see the pitch was supposed to be on the corner, middle of the plate. Nice hitting by Pudge.
Well, he's in great shape. Saw him yesterday. Great spirits, and this has been a pressure-packed time for him to go out and perform. He did not play well last year in the second half of the season. He struggled in New York. He struggled in Detroit at the beginning of the year. And for him to come back right now, let it go. Now, one of the advantages he has, he can go play winter ball in Puerto Rico and get himself going, and that's what he did.
He wants to play. You said it.
Giovanni Soto lays off, and it's 2-0. Now, what do you think? I know you were talking about this earlier. Do you think part of this for Pudge, he's not ridiculously far away from 3,000 hits? It's going to take another few seasons.
What does he have, 2,600 hits?
I mean, he's not going to get there this year. He's not going to get there probably in 2 years. But if he could somehow coax 3-4 more years out of that body.
And that's it. Look, you have to have reasons to play. At 37 years old, can he catch 125, 135 games a year? I don't think so. It's not good for his body. Not many guys can do that. But if that's his goal and he wants to play, and as good a shape he's in right now, 2,605 lifetime hits, find a spot. He'd be good. And you talk about here, John Baker, if he was like a mentor, maybe, catch 100, 110 games, somewhere in that range.
I'll tell you what, having watched Major League Baseball now and seeing the direction we're going in, there was at one time they're going to move Pudge to second base in Texas. And he can play some first base. He can play some second base. You could even throw him in the outfield to get him some at-bats if he so wanted to go and do that. He's that type of an athlete. He doesn't have to catch. I don't think you have to isolate it to
well, let's
catch
see.
it.
You got Johnny Bench that did it. Yogi, right, went out to left. Bench went to third and first. Joe Torre. That's a good point.
You know, he could pick up some different places. I mean, come on, there's teams moving outfielders to second base and going to say that's my starting guy. The Cardinals are talking about doing that with Schumacher. The Kansas City's talking about doing that with Tien. If that's where the game is at, then you can make Pudge Rodriguez a utility man.
Felipe Lopez sends one into left field, just fair. It's going to bring in Pudge from second. They'll hold Soto at third, and it's a 9-1 lead for Puerto Rico. Well, the wheels are starting to fall off of this wagon for Team USA.
Pulls his hands in. Nice piece of hitting right there. The ball in on his belt. Usually a tough spot for a right-handed hitter to pull his hands in like he did. Plus velocity. This isn't a soft toss and lefty.
Well, and the other thing is, he sat around for 6 days. That fastball's not there. It's not 96, 97, like it comes out of his hand usually. 93 on that one. That's a big difference from 91, 92 to a guy who's used to throwing 97, 98. It's a big difference.
I am made aware of this rather ugly detail, that a Mike Aviles single right here could end this ball game. A 2-run single puts the mercy rule into effect.
Absolutely.
And it's good night. A ball and 2 strikes.
And honestly, I think that's why he held him up at third base. Out of respect of the mercy rule, I think they held him up.
Okay, so help me out on the. You got to be 10 runs after the 6th inning.
After the 7th inning.
After the 7th inning.
Ball game.
Lined into right, and that is going to do it. Wow. Who saw this coming? A mercy rule victory for Puerto Rico. I don't think all the players are quite aware of what's happening just yet. Now, certainly the Puerto Rico team is. My goodness. As encouraged as Team USA was with the Toronto portion of their World Baseball Classic lives this year, Pool 2 has not gotten off to a very good start for Team USA. On the other hand, Puerto Rico has beaten its opponents into submission. They have allowed 1 run in this World Baseball Classic, and they hang a mercy rule victory on the U.S. tonight.
Aviles just fighting off that pitch. See, done that in front. You mentioned that some of these players didn't realize with the mercy rule in effect. You know, look, this series, you know, you think about the offense, and we talked about it at the Open, but to have this pitching staff and pitch as well as they've had, and now again, Javi Vasquez and their bullpen. You know, this is a tough team right here, man. With the offense that they showed in the pitching.
We're going to duck away, and we'll be right back. Well, not many people saw this one coming tonight. An 11-1 mercy rule victory for Puerto Rico, and as dominant as they were in Pool D, the U.S. with Jake Peavy tonight, the United States team filled with all-stars, suffers a rather lopsided loss to begin the Miami portion of the World Baseball Classic tonight. And to recap some of the action, it started badly for Jake Peavy and got worse. Carlos Delgado driving in one of the 2 first-inning runs. It was indeed a hit parade against Peavy. 2 runs in the first. 4 came in the second, and 1 on a Felipe Lopez home run. Pudge Rodriguez contributed tonight. An RBI knock in the 5th inning. That brought in Carlos Beltran. Beltran himself was huge. And his moonball home run in the 7th began what would be a 4-run game-ending rally. This was the game ender. Felipe Lopez with a 2-run double in front of Adam Dunn. That brought in Soto and Rodriguez. That was Mike Aviles, rather, who brought in Soto and Lopez with the 2-run single. And that was the 11th spot that Puerto Rico needed to claim a mercy rule victory. Again, as Harold stated, a 10-run lead in the 7th inning or later kicks the mercy rule into effect. And the U.S. falls victim to it and Puerto Rico tonight.
Well, and I think, look, you get Jake Peavy to not get deep enough into the game. Yes, Team USA was able to get some of the relievers, get some work in, but once you dig yourself a big hole, as they did with the 6-0 deficit, really made the USA hitters on a different plane, and Javi Vasquez pitched a good ball game. Stayed ahead in the count, used his pitches. Pitched a good ball game.
Well, tomorrow it'll be the U.S. taking on the Netherlands in what is an elimination game to try to stay alive in the World Baseball Classic. Again, our final score, Puerto Rico has defeated the United States 11-1. Sunday, tomorrow, Pool 2 action continues. The Netherlands and U.S. at 7:30 Eastern, and Pool 1 starts tomorrow as well. Japan and Cuba at 4 Eastern, Mexico and Korea at 11 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday on MLB Network, and MLB Network will have more live World Baseball Classic action at 7 and 11 p.m. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. For Leiter and Harold Reynolds, I'm Matt Vasker.